great character today. Stop the war, find the peaceful way. Using guns and knives to kill, it causes pain and blood to spill. War causes harm, it makes you cry, and causes your best friends to die. I do not want to see you.
Alright, so this is a new unit you're being introduced to the new unit of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, and it's called self-control. So today what you're going to learn is you're going to learn what self-control is, right, and why it's so important. And you're also going to learn how self-control plays in controlling your thoughts, how that goes into it. So at first, I want to direct you to the first page. Okay, does anybody want to?
I'd like to learn the verses.
Would you like to read? Or?
Okay.
Go ahead.
How you think about yourself and others, how you handle your emotions, and whether or not you study for your midterms all hinge upon your ability to practice self-control. In this unit of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, you will learn that self-control is one of the many traits that help to build positive character. It plays a major role in how we treat ourselves, interact, accomplish goals, and function within society. If you have ever witnessed a toddler having a tantrum and you are aware of how lack of self-control can be demonstrated, the toddler has not yet learned how to deal with his feelings of disappointment and frustration, so he resorts to throwing himself on the floor, screaming, kicking, and crying. As people mature and grow, they generally move past the stage of kicking and screaming if their needs are not met. However, unless people learn how to control their thoughts and manage their feelings, they will display a lack of self-control in many other ways. For example, disrespect, violence, aggression, premarital sex, drug and substance abuse are all ways in which individuals display a lack of self-control towards themselves and others. In this first chapter, you will learn what self-control is and why it's an important trait for everyone to acquire and practice on a consistent basis. You will also learn that developing self-control begins with controlling your thoughts and making choices that are positive and negative. Self-control is the most important character trait you can develop because it applies to all aspects of your life and is the foundation of positive character.
Right, it is a foundation of a positive character because it applies to all aspects of your life. And we're going to learn a little bit later in this lesson how it can help you develop other character traits, positive character traits. And also, we're going to learn about what exactly do we mean by making positive moral decisions, because I know that sometimes we tend to associate moral with a religious view, right? But really we're going to touch on. That brings me to my next question, or the question of the day, sorry. What is self-control? Sorry for the bad writing. Okay, without looking at the sheet, take a stab at what exactly is self-control in your own words.
Delaying speaking my thought.
Delaying speaking your thought? Okay. Delaying speaking your thought, maybe considering what you're, you mean like considering what you're about to say before saying it? Considering carefully? Right? Do you have an idea?
Well, usually it refers to stopping yourself from doing it.
Okay. Mr. Wallace?
Controlling myself.
That's the most simple, basic definition. But I don't want to get complicated in the definition. It's not a complicated definition at all, obviously. But I want to get a little bit deeper on what exactly it is. So, number one, self-control is controlling your thoughts. Because thoughts lead to feelings. Okay? Thoughts lead to feelings. The second thing that self-control is controlling your, anybody guess?
Thoughts.
Controlling your thoughts, because thoughts lead to feelings. Controlling your feelings. Controlling your feelings. Because feelings lead to actions, right? And then the third thing is controlling how you behave, because those feelings can lead to actions that lead to rewards, or they can lead to consequences. Okay? So, like I said before, just a couple of minutes ago, it is self-control is the foundation of a moral behavior, right? And when you practice self-control, that means you stop and you carefully consider whether your thoughts and feelings will lead to actions that are morally correct and that are in your best interest. So that is self-control. So I want you all, if you can, please say it with me, including you. Self-control is controlling your thoughts, right? Because thoughts lead to feelings. And controlling your feelings, because feelings lead to actions. Controlling how you behave, because those little actions can lead to rewards.
Oh, rewards
and consequences. All right. Okay. So if you'll turn to page 4, it should be the second page of your packet. For those who weren't here for the character unit, we're going to go into a little bit of it touches a little bit on the character. Character. All right, so rewind and review. Learning to develop and practice self-control on a consistent basis and in all situations is a long-term process. It takes a while. It really takes a lot of meticulous effort. Right? The first step in understanding self-control is how it relates to morality. In this unit, on character, you learned about morality and how to develop a positive moral character. Morals are rules that help us behave in ways that are appropriate, caring, and thoughtful to others and ourselves. I'm going to reiterate. Morals are rules that help us behave in ways that are appropriate, caring, and thoughtful of others and ourselves. They are they are universal in that most people, regardless of nationality, color, creed, right? They're just basically rules that govern the way that we think and behave. So, for example, none of us, I'm pretty sure everyone in this room can agree they don't want to be stolen from, right? Right? So that's basically what morals are. They're just rules that we can all agree upon, right? We don't want to be disrespected. We don't want to be a victim of any tragic event due to someone else's lack of self-control, any form of crime or anything like that. You see? So it's not necessarily tied to anything that is religious. I'll agree, yeah, do not steal and other things is in the Bible or something like that, but do not steal, I mean, I don't want to be stolen from, Okay, so continuing on. Moral values define your character and your ability to control yourself. A person with moral values distinguishes between right and wrong and makes choices that will cause no harm to himself or others. Immoral values, on the other hand, lead to inappropriate behavior that is disrespectful, inconsiderate, and even dangerous. One having immoral values tends to develop enemies. Crime, violence, and abuse all stem from immoral values, and it's just a matter of fact that everyone needs self-control to live peacefully. Everyone needs self-control to live peacefully. That's just a fact that I'm sure that we could probably all agree upon, because We see things like crime. Crime is an example of a lack of self-control. So what are some other ways that a lack of self-control can affect our society?
Starts in the household.
Starts in the household? How can it affect the society?
If a parent don't teach their children self-control, that children could be basically a menace to society, basically. I mean,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and that can ripple outwards, to affect everyone else around.
Exactly. And with the character unit, we also talked about, like, for example, a lack self-control in terms of making those moral decisions. Like, if anybody heard of Enron, we talked over Enron, the fall of Enron, because of I think it was like a top group of people's immoral decision to embezzle, to steal, and then that whole company, because of someone's immoral choice, went down. And we were talking about the ripple effect and how that affected the families who worked there, the people who had to work there, the company. Like, just because of someone's choice, they made that immoral choice to steal. And it may seem like something small, but you see the big ripple effect it had on our society. Okay. So now that we've seen what self-control what it is, now we're going to learn the importance of self-control. Okay, so if you can turn to the next page. So self-control is needed in every single situation. You need self-control whether you're alone or interacting with others. At home, at work, and even when you're on your leisure time, you need self-control. It enables you to speak and behave appropriately, regardless of the choices that are placed in front of you. In fact, self-control is even so important, it's probably one of the first character traits that you've ever learned. So let's take ourselves back to childhood. Let's take us back to maybe like probably not that big. If you can recall maybe your parents saying, don't run around the room because you could fall, or don't touch the stove because it's hot, right? That's your parents trying to instill that self-control, because what can occur if I just touch that stove? I get burnt. I'll experience the consequences of a lack of self-control, right? So it's one of the very first character traits that we learned as children, right? So if you could think of, we're still like right here. If you could think of other things that your parents spoke to you, what are some other things that your parents told you when you were small that demonstrate them trying to instill within you self-control?
Don't run with that sucker in your mouth.
Don't run with the sucker in your mouth.
Don't go to sleep with that sucker.
Don't go to sleep with that sucker, because why?
Because you get wrapped up in your hair and you wake up and cut your hair thinking nobody's going to notice.
I remember that. Especially with the gum.
Yeah, don't go to sleep with gum in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
You can see how these, and emphasizing the point that, like I said, it's so important that it was one of the very first things that our parents were teaching us when we were small. Right? Okay, so now I want to talk about how self-control develops other traits. So if you can